in its entirety. All participants of this ThugCrowd radio episode are characters. None of the stories told during these episodes are based on facts, truth, or reality. All works of fiction displayed during this episode that resemble real-life situations are coincidental and are not meant to serve as guides or tutorials to commit any crimes in any country. Please consult an attorney for local laws and regulations. And as always, trust your inner criminal.
Cause I want your number, I ain't ready. Fucking with you heavy, you can call me Benny. Sweet like Ben and Jerry's, I'm the opposite of many. Ain't no ordinary, do you like a wild ride? I'll show you plenty. Cooler than the other side of motherfucking pillars. Used to call me weirdo to deny my limit, suit and tie. My vision stupid, I believe them to alive. My spirit now aligned with mission into life. Awakened to thinking like a peasant. I got wings with feathers, investing myself with effort. Everything you see authentic, I wear never high potential, gentle, but my brain a weapon. Success is myself untethered, follow trends, I'll never ever. Cause I want your number, I ain't ready. Fucking with your hairy, call me Benny.
What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Hey, what up?
We're back.
Not much. Nothing interesting happened over last week that I know of. No, nothing
Nothing at
notable
all.
really. So
At all.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm getting an echo.
You guys think of anything to? You guys do anything interesting over the
There was
weekend
like
at
a
least?
thing, a couple people met up somewhere, I think.
Oh yeah.
Didn't do anything remarkable, I don't think, but
I heard there was a little get together, somewhere in Nevada recently.
Oh,
Really?
That sounds pretty boring though. It's a desert.
weird.
It's hot
That's
and
Area
stuff.
51,
Yeah.
right?
what
You guys
do you do
stormed
with
it?
the desert? That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, storming Area 51.
Oh yeah, do that.
Yes. Yeah.
That was on the agenda.
That would have been fun.
Shout out to Demon for subscribing to us. Thank you.
How
So
And
an
they somehow-
interesting.
What's up?
Something I noticed on Twitter. Our guest from last stream did some backyard biohacking implants as well, where they got some like thumb drives or something, or like some wireless drives. I'm not sure, installed in their like upper thighs.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
What?
4 years out of 4 hours out of like freaking Las Vegas somewhere, like some back alley shit.
Damn,
That's crazy.
it's commitment.
The upper thighs, that's a dicey game.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's a doctor of math.
Reminds me of the doctor from The Simpsons, Dr. Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Nick. He was one of our hosts, I think, last week or the week before. But yeah, Dr. Nick does good work. He's he'll hook you up with microchips or anything, really, right?
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'd kind of call this the Defcon recap show, right? At least for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
So out of all the people that are on the stream right now, which the audience can't actually see quite at the moment, I'm gonna type it up for you guys. But in the meantime, who actually did go?
I went. Buses can fly.
I went, and I'm dead because of it.
How, did you stay for Blackhat and Defcon stuff, or just?
No, I didn't do the Blackhat stuff. I just did the Defcon stuff, and then a day or two after, hung around.
I also went.
Okay. So yeah, hell yeah, a decent amount of you went then. Nice.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of folks that aren't here right now that are
Yeah.
fairly around that are on. So
Plus, there's this whole bunch of what's the name? A whole bunch of people wearing name tags of this one name. There's a lot of them,
yeah,
like 80 or so of
the name
Like
wasn't
Sam?
bad.
Well,
Sam?
yeah, that not.
I can't remember what it was, but the name was not.
It's like non-Dan or no Dans allowed, something like that.
I mean, the name definitely was not Dan, but I
Right,
don't
it
remember
was
what the
not.
actual name was.
Oh, it was not Dan. Oh, well, so
No, it wasn't
that's
not Dan.
right.
It wasn't Dan.
It wasn't Dan. Yeah.
Are we sure it was
Who's on
Dan?
second?
Did they? Is it just a really popular name for alts this year? It kind of seems like
I mean,
it.
There was
The
like
new
80 of
content.
them.
I mean, we basically built an in-person botnet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really did.
I mean, I put it all into Multigo actually, and I graphed it out. It turns out the result is it's not Dan.
I think
So
Oh, okay. Yeah, it spread pretty quickly, whatever it was.
Yeah.
we should have a few of those not Dans on the show, but maybe even one of the first ones. And I'm positive if that not Dan was here, you would probably say that he was extremely humbled and thinks that this is a pretty awesome community.
If
If he
if
was
they
here.
were here, we would
Yeah.
probably say it's well deserved, but I guess it's not.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
something that better instead. Yo, so hey, I'm back. I haven't been back in a bit. This is you.
What's up,
Or-
you?
You, not Dan.
it's not me.
So many different misdirections.
I don't know.
But yeah. So sorry everybody too. I've we've trying to get a bunch of stuff together for the stream. We had some technical difficulties, as you know, the last time we were on because of our box getting shut down just randomly with no mercy by our
For like
stream
20
provider.
cents. It was like
Yeah,
20 cents.
it was
Oh
very
my
small,
God, yeah,
very
that's right.
small monetary dispute. But I was kind of MIA for a little bit, so I didn't even get any notifications or anything. I wasn't checking anything, unfortunately. So I'm gonna hope to try to get most things back up that were kind of left, I guess, to die, and everybody had to scramble to pick up my slack.
Well, you know
but,
what, dude?
yeah,
We
gonna work
appreciate
with
everything you do for the show, and I think, if anything, it gave us some insight into just how much you contribute, and thank you for that, and hell yeah, welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm hoping to get back. I'm still doing the ASCII art for the notes, but I mean, most of the things though, I don't know. I had to do a well-deserved break for a while to get myself into a better space, and I feel like a lot better. I'm still trying to not be so insane, but you know, it happens.
You were missed at Defcon. That's
Yeah, I was really bummed I didn't get to go see everybody there because that was a lot of fun meeting up last year, and we didn't get to stream because I would have ran the stream. I did it off my phone last year, and I was gonna do it again this year, but I wasn't there available, so we weren't able to do.
Did
that.
you just say you
I
did it
didn't
off
give
your
anybody any
phone last
instructions on
year?
how to do it either because everything I do is, again, hacking. Hackers make hacky, shitty things. Exactly what everything that I've made is. So yeah, it's hard to pass off to people sometimes. But we're working on it. Working on making them, very nice, easy to deploy, CI/CD pipeline for our stream here, so we can run it anytime anywhere.
Yeah, the main problem with documentation is not hacking. So
yeah, exactly. Did just to back up for a quick second, did you say that you ran the show off of your phone last year?
Yeah, we couldn't get internet working because I think someone's router got owned.
No. It was what happened was there was a router that was connecting to the hotel wireless, and we were like, why isn't this router connecting? And it turns out like the whole of the hotel like wireless was down at that time. Like
Oh,
the
sure.
internet was down, everything was down.
Some fucking
And I was
fool
like,
bought a pineapple.
Right, like right now? Do you have to do this like right now? Like are in the hotel like exactly at this minute?
the amount of DOT that was happening all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
If you look at the stream from last year, the live from Defcon, you see that it's OBS not connected to the internet, and my phone recording OBS off of Dean's laptop screen. And I typed everyone's name into a little box there so you could see it, and so it's just like this like reflective screen, and then you can just see the logo, and then it says all our names, and it says also a bunch of Australians.
Also, I
Correct.
believe your phone was held up by a stack of ThugCrowd 2.4 gigahertz business card sized.
Oh yeah,
and-
my phone shortly after overheated and didn't turn on for a while either, which is cool. But yeah, so those are kind of things though that we would definitely bring out again. I'm hoping to come. I'm definitely going to come next year. Don't get to go this year, but yeah, I'm glad to hear everyone's stories later on in the day or later on in the evening for recapping on what happened, because it seemed like a lot happened. If you haven't seen the notes, I'll post them again. There's quite a lot of news and cool stuff that I could not fit every single thing into here. And thanks, Busses, for posting that. I couldn't fit every single story into this thing because there was just too much. There's a lot of backlog here, a lot of Safari backlog, just so many different things. So
it's just even stories like a lot of the slides were just coming out as the notes were coming together. So it was like, oh shit, this talk, that talk, this talk, and like checking them for quality, because I'm sure everybody noticed that the quantum future multidimensional AI encryption did come out, and so we did want to quality check what we were sharing.
yes, Time Cube.
Yeah,
Cryptography that bends time and space.
with its brain.
Ooh,
Um,
that sounds fun.
So yeah, no, I'm excited to read up on all this stuff. I kind of was like taking a bit of a break from reading stuff because I get too into it. But I'm excited to read a lot of the stuff and see all the talks come out. I'm trying to watch some of it on what they were streaming, but it was like, yeah, I was trying to just chill and not get like sucked into some horrifically deep rabbit hole that I didn't expect, which is half the reason why I'm glad I didn't go to Defcon, is because I know that I would have somehow signed myself up for a bajillion other projects.
Yeah, that's what happens. It's the overcommitment syndrome, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing like a Velcro suit when I go there. Just
Did you want to mention some of your contributions that did make it to DEF CON, to the Diana initiative?
Oh yeah. So yeah, shout out to everybody who did Diana Initiative stuff. They're awesome conference that happens at the same time as DEF CON, and they have a really cool CTF that they have for people. And I had written a bunch of the binary reverse engineering challenges for them. And so I actually didn't hear about anybody's I haven't seen anybody's like write-ups or anything. I know that they take a while to come out, but if anybody did any of the binary challenges for them, I made them. So you can hit me up at NetSpooky on Twitter. But yeah, no, that stuff's cool. I mean, I was able to do like stuff that I don't normally do for our chat challenges because they're too hard. And so I got to do like the really difficult stuff that like make people want to explode when they look at it.
Real
Yeah,
sadistic.
it was cool. I did some really weird stuff. So I'm hoping to see what people do. I'm not going to reveal too much about it. If someone does a write up, I will definitely retweet it. But if not, I can save a lot of those tricks for future challenges. Because there is some stuff that like I wanted to do something that like wasn't like a lot of stuff is like kind of just copied or adapted from older CTFs. And so I kind of try to just not think about any other CTF I've ever seen and just do like the weirdest shit I could possibly do. And I had a couple of things that were in development for possible challenges for it that I didn't finish because they were so nuts. But I'm gonna hope to try to contribute some for maybe next year, or try to do badge challenge like I did for last DEF CON. So hell
that'd
yeah.
be awesome.
Cool.
If anybody is super interested in making puzzles, we have a puzzle league in our Riot chat. So if you are somebody who can make really cool
Hell yeah.
and non-annoying CTF puzzles, like stuff that like really makes people think, then definitely hit us up on Twitter because we can get you into our puzzle league where we start to develop new interesting challenges for people to solve for various purposes.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I gotta check it out once enough times passed and we're able to able to do the write-ups and the detail of it, because honestly, a lot of our ThugCrowd CTF style things or challenges are pretty hard, especially
Yeah,
like
I gotta
the
say,
crypto related
they
ones.
definitely are. And I think that we have to take a different approach too. Some of you may have seen that our challenges, our latest challenge, the Tupac one, was leaked, and people were joining with a leaked guide on Pastebin. So they
By the
figured
way,
out.
fuck you to whoever
It's a
did
good
that.
thing we have no measures at all in place to see if there's duplicate challenges or people
Yeah,
making it.
Right, and to figure
There's
out
no,
who did it.
we don't check that at all.
I mean, so you definitely we embed a lot of funny things into our stuff that most people might not be able to see. But I think that just for the sake of fun, because I know that people are going to try to collaborate, but we really want people to work on shit like on their own. At the very least, be able to if you did work with somebody and you solved a problem together, that's fine. But if you work with somebody and you just copy their work, that's not fine, because that means that you just copy what someone else did. That's the same as copy and pasting from Stack Overflow, which is kind of lame. It can be helpful in a pinch,
Well,
but not if you're trying to prove that you're learning something.
What it does
Yeah.
is it literally gives access to the exact type of people that we're kind of trying to keep out, which is the put no effort into anything, please just give me this, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's some bullshit. Just fucking put some effort into it. And if you truly are working through it, can't get past something, you can maybe hit up ThugCrowd on Twitter or wherever, and maybe there might even be some hints that can be given.
Or you can also try harder.
Or you could just fucking
Try
try
hard.
hard.
But, if you are going to paste anything from our challenges to anyone else,
We're gonna wreck it.
inspect it carefully first. That's all I'll say.
Oh yeah. Oh, because I mean, people who have done our challenges, you'll realize that your IP and information about your computer and other metadata about you is a part of the challenge itself. You may or may not realize this, but that's how they're designed. So you really, yeah, you know who does everything.
Shout out to the Arkansas public school system who
Bling. So yeah, so I think definitely we'll do some challenges. They might be hidden in other places. So people who are avid listeners, who follow us on Twitter and stuff, if you want to get in on our stuff, just keep listening to what we do, what we say, and you'll be directed to some cool stuff that will be able to get you into our chats. Not saying that our chats are anything special. They just want to make it something that we don't just have people that just flashcard each other on assembly and talk about their ransomware campaigns openly and dare the feds to get them.
So
You don't want that.
tweet.
So, with that being said, let's get to the news so we can get.
good plan.
So yeah, the first one here is pretty cool. Teen researcher was suspended for exposing vulns in his school software. So this is, if anybody here has been to school, especially in America, where you have these horrific, outdated platforms for pretty much everything that they expect you to do all of your work in. You know that they're largely Flash or ASP based, running like IIS 7, and just still, I mean, I graduated from high school a while ago, and people are using the same shit that I was using back then. But somebody found some, or this person had found some vulnerabilities in their school software, and they basically just sent out push notifications to everybody in the school about it, saying that they basically, it was like, hacked by a Roblox gang message. And so he had found, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, which is basically like every vulnerability that you can find in a web application. And they wouldn't listen to him. The school told him that the company wouldn't talk to him. And then he just sent out a notification and got suspended for it. So I hope that
Pretty messed
I
up.
think this is kind of a reminder to check on what you're doing with things. Like, there's a way to be cool about things and a way to kind of burn yourself really quickly.
Yeah, I got a little anecdotal story. When I was in community college, which I failed, um, on like the second or third day, one of the dudes that was like already working in like IT somewhere, he decided to net send star like this computer will shut down in 5 seconds.
Oh,
Some dumb message, and of course all the machines like in a school or a college or whatever, they're all named, and basically some dudes walked into the room, whispered something to the teacher, went and like counted the computers out loud and said, "You come with us," and like that was it. He was kicked out. Just paid his fee. So like it's there's the right way to do things and there's the wrong way to do things. I'm not saying that this kid didn't try and do the right thing. I'm saying a lot of people just jump to the wrong thing first.
yeah, especially like when people don't know about responsible disclosure or anything like that. It's like just kids screwing around with stuff. It's very easy to fuck up and get yourself in trouble.
It's also easy to realize the scope of things that you're playing with. For a few people, it might be fun. For some other people, it might be a lot bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if they're not like, if they're not fellow enthusiasts, right? Like if they're just doing IT work or sysadmin work because it pays the bills and they absolutely hate their job, they might not have as much of a sense of humor about things as you.
I think you may have described a pretty large number of the school IT admins.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but like, have you found that like any advertised school, like educational IT work is very underpaid?
Oh, I think the whole school, at least in
Yeah,
America, the whole school system's underpaid. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like it's a publicly funded organization. I mean, you look at like nonprofit organizations, it's the same deal. They have one IT dude and he's just not getting paid anything.
Shout out to my IT admin though. Like he gave me my first copy of BSD, like because I guess I was like talking about like hacking stuff at school.
Yeah.
Gave me a copy of like free BSD on CD and like changed my freaking life. Like.
Oh yeah, no, I mean same here. Like there's definitely a lot of those guys I've met that are kind of broken down, but at my high school, I remember getting pulled out of class because there was WordPress ransomware on the school website. That was an interesting problem, but it was a cool thing.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a really good teacher who would tell me to stop breaking things very nicely.
Yeah, I got lucky with that as well.
I got lucky too. I had a county that was very against these kind of things, but an IT admin who was cool enough to say just find me at lunch sometime, say what you want to say, and then we're done. Nothing happened.
Yeah. That's one of the things that like it just really kills me to see kids getting in trouble for this stuff, because that would have been me, if I hadn't had people around me that were good enough to tell me what not to do.
Yeah, I think it's different these days as well. Like,
Exactly.
Like I guess a lot of us are a bit older, and when we were at high school, there was no cyber industry unless it was naked ladies. And now like people are a little bit more aware that it's a thing, and you should there are problems, and every kid at school has a laptop, but like a lot of schools are a tablet or something. So the technology is more ingrained, like those digital whiteboards and stuff like that as well.
I mean, I feel like though a lot of schools like prior were really quick to implement stuff because it definitely saves time and energy for record keeping, and as well as an audit trail. But I mean, the same things with every industry that is underfunded, usually publicly funded, that has to implement massive technology changes, is that there's definitely going to be holes like that. And the problem is that the teachers at the school aren't going to understand what an SQL injection is. Like, think about your history teacher, think about like your art teacher in school, and imagine explaining what an SQL injection is to them. Or like
the IT guy probably doesn't.
Session takeover, like the intricacies of like session takeover attack. Like those are things that people normally don't understand, and if you tell them in layman's terms, it means that I can look at your emails, like, or it means that I can change the grades, and that just instantly says, "Oh, well, you're trying to change your grades, huh?" And then yeah, I see that exact thing playing out. So it's like it's tough. That's some violent disclosure. I mean, that's literally what a lot of us have had to deal with from time to time, and it's annoying and scary sometimes. But I'm glad that he did it.
I hope he gets a job later once he finishes.
Yeah, man. I'm glad he did it, but I don't know if he's so glad about that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it takes time, that sort of thing, to
Yeah.
sort of understand it. But I mean, you put that on your resume. Hey, I hacked my whole school's thing after they wouldn't listen to me. That's something for a job.
Well, and the
Also,
fact that he's all
I
over.
think a certain person here actually wrote a small article on how to reword those skills and experiences.
Yeah.
That's right.
Also, another thing is, it's like if the worst you do is get suspended for a few days, like, and you learn your lesson that way, it's a lot better than learning that out in the real world where there's real consequences.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's been a few people where the school district goes to the cops, and that is really ugly.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, so the way I used to think about it is it's government, right? Like schools largely, I know there's private schools, but largely schools are government owned or subsidized, at least, and messing with government stuff just ain't a good idea in the least.
Well, I'm sure we all have anecdotes about schools forever. We should probably move on to the next one before we
Yes.
self-talk a little more. So Apple confirms a $1 million reward for anyone who can hack an iPhone. I'm not very impressed with this. What do you guys think?
I mean, there's some governments that'll pay a bit more.
Yeah, well, I mean, Zerodium, I'm looking at the chart right now. Remote jailbreak, 0-click, like $2 million. The $1 million bracket is specifically for iPhone, is an iMessage remote code execution and local privilege escalation. So, and I mean, we saw Project Zero, I guess, present those at Blackhat this week as well. So there was like 5 CVs that were all pretty horrendous, and one of those was like iMessage RCE. I think multiple of them.
Yep.
So that's $1 million. That's five. Like, let's estimate that at maybe like $4.5 million. Maybe more, maybe a lot more. And Apple are only paying like $1 million.
I mean, to be fair, they're still significantly more competitive than a lot of other bounty programs are for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, specifically, I don't know if this has been updated, but the iOS security guide on page 87 has the maximum payouts, and like secure boot FOMO components. Like, this is another talk. It's also in our show notes. Attacking the T2 security chip stuff. The secure boot FOMO components, like 200,000. Extraction of confidential material by the secure enclave, 100K. Execution of arbitrary code with kernel proof, 50K. Like, there's a couple of others, but that's not very competitive in my opinion. But those numbers may be outdated with this new announcement.
Well, and the idea of a bug bounty is not to be competitive with the black market necessarily. It's like probably a lot easier to deal with that $1 million than it is to deal with the 5 million. Like, you have to figure out how to get that money into a form you can use it.
Well, Zerodium is not really black market, but I mean, yeah, you're right.
Well,
I mean, I think overall, like, it got in the
Wink,
news
wink.
because, like, yes, that is a very large number, but still, it probably should be a little larger.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's definitely interesting though, because I mean, that's a big step up from a lot of other places.
Right. It's
Such as,
a lot closer.
Other places that say thanks, give you a T-shirt, or they hand you a lawsuit. So it's a bit better than that.
Or they give you McDonald's gift cards.
Yes.
Or a T-shirt and a lawsuit.
Who is the one that did the McDonald's gift cards? I've never heard of that.
I think it was Zeropon who got a SQL injection on McDonald's Canada
Oh, nice.
website, and they offered him like $6 of McDonald's gift cards or something.
I got
What the
I got
hell?
a $10 Domino's for blind XSS.
At Domino's, I'm assuming.
I got to keep the My Coke rewards stuff after I found like a wormable persistent XSS in their what is it called? They just gave me another code and they let me keep the one that I stole.
Wait a minute. They let you keep the one that you stole? You said? That's great.
I can't really talk more about it, but
Not
it's
stole.
yeah, I
but,
love the
research.
the just you
discovered.
get a soda. Thanks.
That's
For a
hilarious.
wormable
Yeah, I think
XSS.
that's like I'd rather have a T-shirt at that point. Be interesting to see, like, by monetary value of what you're getting, what the lowest value bounty reward is.
Oh god, the
Kudos.
T-shirt thing. Will
But like, it has to be
forever
more than
make-
nothing. But like, just the lowest monetary. Yeah,
I
the
think
T-
the Coke might win.
yeah. I think you might have won.
I don't know. Did you see that Sony T-shirt I got? It was pretty bad.
Plus,
That had to be at least manufactured.
I mean, maybe there might have been some dude just like ironing on letters. Like,
I think the person who found the way to read people's Discord DMs got $25 for it. I don't think they took it though. Forget. I'll have to ask them.
I mean,
Oh, they
Well, yeah,
just
that
kept using it,
$25
probably.
comes with a bunch of stipulations.
I
Giving your name and address, bank info.
I got offered like $500 for a bug, and that was on a social media platform, and I was just like, nah, I'll keep it. And then some Russian turned it into a worm, and it got patched anyway. And the worm got like 7 people, so lol. They just burned the bug, and then I was like, oh, I probably should have just like taken the 500.
Nah.
Thanks, Alex.
This may be a good time to mention that there are bug bounty programs where you can just talk to them and they might tell companies that without an existing program for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad to know that now.
Yeah.
yeah, those programs are not super old. It's a relatively recent motion. So if you're doing disclosure outside of a bug bounty, definitely do that.
Yeah, they have a bigger legal team than you do.
Speaking of legal teams, GitHub sued for aiding in hacking in the Capital One breach. So this
That was
happened
hilarious.
last week. This is amazing. So Capital One, who is mad that somebody just looted their S3 buckets and other sorted wares, blamed GitHub for just having the information on it. He was like blaming Facebook, and someone makes a post about that they stole data. I don't know. It's literally like the most backwards thing like I've ever seen. Like they like Capital One. There's people at Capital One that use GitHub. There are people that probably post like a lot of. I mean, they post private information from Capital One on there. It's not GitHub's fault if you.
Well, and they got a request to remove the data, and they actually removed it.
Yeah.
It's like,
but it's just like mind blowing that like they would have the audacity to do that. Like if you expose millions of people's records, 106 million records, if you expose that and then you blame GitHub and try to
it's even worse.
Real quick,
that
though, hold on. Just a really important thing to clarify is that the bank is not suing GitHub. There's just some rando that's suing GitHub, and the way the headline was written makes it really, really imply that Capital One is suing them when they're not. So, yeah,
that's useful.
I know a lot of people think that Capital One's suing GitHub, including me, until somebody finally notified me that, hey, no, it's some person.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, yes, right?
There's somebody who's trying to get money. It's the lawsuit made the claim that GitHub actively encourages friendly hacking.
Right, and even that sentence alone, if you say that sentence out loud, you think, yeah, okay, it had to be Capital One that launched this lawsuit. But as far as I understand, and I did try and read over it again, it looked to me like it definitely was somebody else suing them.
Oh yeah, I don't think it is.
It would be funny if that one rando was just like a manager somewhere.
It would
You
be
know,
even
it's
funnier
funny
if
that,
it
like,
was
this-
actually Capital One.
This is post Microsoft GitHub, and they've already done stuff like what country was it? Enforcing U.S. International sanctions like on developers in certain countries. Like so, they already they now have a track record of actively blocking things in line with U.S. law. So
Just
judge
glancing over,
you know.
just glancing over the first part of this, I think it's actually against both Capital One and GitHub. If you're just like the first paragraph looks like that.
I'm
I
really
mean,
good at
no one's going to go for GitHub. They get like their lawyers are going to show up and.
Oh yeah, nobody's going to get it. This is almost. I think whenever something like this happens, a bunch of lawyers are like, "Oh, that's an opportunity to get a lot of money."
Yeah. Fail.
But that article is pretty foul, I gotta say, because it does not make it clear at all. There's I think one sentence, maybe two, that say it's somebody else, but largely that article is written, in my opinion, to imply that Capital One's making the lawsuit, which.
Yeah, that was the news though, that I read the thing, and when I glanced over it really and kind of more relied on other commentary because I didn't read as much into it as I probably should have.
Well, yeah, and that's the
stuff like
thing,
that.
is the even really pretty well respected Twitter accounts and respected people online had commentary on it, saying, "Screw Capital One, what the hell are they thinking?" And then, that makes it even worse to try and sift through that and start getting to the truth. But the whole thing just really, I don't know. It's a
Twitter has a
stupid-
lot of hot takes.
Yes,
Like a lot of hot takes.
those steaming
And,
piles of hot takes.
So spicy.
Dumpster fire.
And it also doesn't have any sort of edit function.
Yeah. Terrible.
Delete it.
Somebody was talking directly to Jack, and I forget who it was, but they actually said edit function, and it was like a public thing. I think it was on TV interview or some quick thing, but they were like, "Yeah, edit function. We all want it," and like directly confronted him about it. You guys think it'll ever happen?
No. Because
neither.
people
No,
will use it.
especially with all of the pushback from Twitter, it would look really bad if they just folded.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like when people say it's some inflammatory stuff, and then people reply as like, "Oh, you're wrong," and then they change it to something like super benign.
Yeah. Like
That
what
too,
happens on
yeah.
Facebook?
Any of that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I like the way most things do it, where they then add a edited sign.
Yeah, one of the things that I like is like GitHub has started doing it for comments as well, where you can see past revisions of a post.
Actually, come to think of it, so on my account, I have it signed up for beta features, and occasionally they'll put some feature on my account that just fucking really blows. But now I'm thinking about it, they actually did have their version of an edit button for a little bit, and maybe this was actually for everybody, and I'm just thinking I'm special, but there was the thing
It
where
was the beta branch.
there was a thing where it said, in real small writing, there have been updates to this tweet or updates to this story. Please see something. And maybe it was only for reporters. Maybe I am just totally making this up. I don't know.
Could you imagine if Trump could edit his tweets?
I don't think he would do it. Unless it was to correct the spelling of the word
People have been
fat pig or whatever defamatory thing he wants to say against somebody.
People have been scraping that type of Twitter account for years and years, so there's not much of a chance that that would really, I don't know. Although I guess at the same time, the main audience that he's reaching are the people following him, not people looking at other stuff.
So we should really move on to the next one before we get too off topic. A Canon DSLR camera infected with ransomware over the air.
This is really cool. I mean, it sucks if you have a camera taker. Camera haver. Yeah. But I didn't even know about this. There's a picture transfer protocol in Canon cameras that you can use to transfer pictures. And there is a bunch of buffer overflows that were found in it. 5 to be correct. Where, I mean, I don't even know. People are looking at buffer overflows in cameras. It's pretty dope, but I guess people had found ways to inject arbitrary code into these cameras through this protocol. And
well, it was also so that they also reverse engineered the keys for verifying the firmware updates, so you could sign your own firmware.
Yes.
Nice.
Whoever the douchebag is that made ransomware, though, like, people take photographs that, like, when you're taking a photograph, you're taking it because it's something special to you. And specifically go after
the
that.
thing I thought of was immediately China or any other people that want to curb journalists. Imagine camera.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you can load custom firmware, I think Doom needs to happen.
Yeah.
Or like, imagine that you're sitting outside of like some like famous person's wedding or whatnot, right? And then you could use that for like, probably steal photos or, all that stuff from other people.
Yeah. There's a lot of these cameras are Wi-Fi enabled, especially for like the remote controls and some of the remote displays. So I would not doubt it for a second that there's Wi-Fi over-the-air exploits just waiting to be found.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit later for some chips or some. Actually, that's the next story as well. About some vulnerabilities in Wi-Fi as well as in Qualcomm chips.
Yuck.
The Dragon Blood.
Yeah, was it you who shared this one?
Yeah, I think I might have found this somewhere.
The funny thing was, this was released right before Defcon. Which, if anything, was just perfect timing.
Yeah. Is anybody using, like, I'm not using WPA3. I don't have WPA3 enabled devices yet.
Are there a lot of WPA3 supported stuff? I mean, I'm sure there's like a $700 router somewhere, but
It's still in spec. Or did they actually launch it? I thought it was still in spec phases.
Yeah, I think it might be because I've never I've been to electronic stores like Fry's lately. I have not
the top
seen
of my
it.
head, I thought I remembered Wiggle having some WPA3 entries.
Maybe. I remember the last
Wiggle.
round of this kind of bug against WPA3 was before it was released. I'm not sure if it's been released since then.
Yeah. So this is like 802.11.8x, right?
Yeah, Wiggle has 2 entries for WPA3.
Right.
I mean, you have to have a
spell
scanning
that?
device for it, right?
WIGLE? Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
WiggleNet. It's the war driving app.
Oh, they probably just spoofed it though. You think either that or
Probably.
you know what?
Well, I mean, like
actually-
WPA2, there's 377 million. WPA3, 2.
So I have noticed
I mean,
that
I guess
Wiggle
you could, like, if you had a device that was capable of capturing it. I don't know, would it be backwards compatible or not?
So
I
long
have
story short,
noticed
no, it's not rolled out to the
developers-
general public.
developers that work on this kind of stuff actually, you can find people that work on, say, femtocell or just cell networks in general. You can find them. You can find developers that work on WPA3, which is actually what you may have found. Like,
Yeah, it's
sometimes
possible.
they do that work at their home, or that might actually be a building. But if you look up the address, I remember specifically one time finding somebody that was definitely running a test cellular network, and they were living in a pretty well-known tech laden worker neighborhood.
Nice.
Pretty interesting
Oh.
stuff.
There's something too that just got brought up. I forgot to put in the show notes as well. I'm going to share it in stream chat as well as in Zoom chat. This was this Urgent 11 that was put out.
Oh
it
yeah.
was a series of vulnerabilities in VxWorks, which is an RTOS for SCADA and ICS and a bunch of other really important equipment and electronic quality, a bunch of stuff. But so basically, there's like a bunch of CVEs. There's 11 CVEs that were found or that were assigned, and previously there was only 13 CVEs in the 32-year history of VxWorks. So we doubled the amount of public vulnerabilities for it, and they're all buffer overflows. They're all ways that you can inject arbitrary code into packets, bypass firewalls. Like there's literally so many different, really, really important. There's a lot of really important stuff that is affected by really, really like almost trivial attack vectors at this point. They have like POCs and stuff in the white paper. I would urge you to check it out. And if you have anything that uses any of these platforms, any of these devices, definitely patch as soon as possible because it's gonna get bad.
Did you? And
Also,
you said there's
send us the firmware.
POCs in that?
What?
In the white? You said there's POCs in the white paper?
Well, they explain like vaguely how to do it. They also have POC videos as well.
POC video, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, but so I guess what I'm getting at is there's no active POC or something that's
You
soon
with,
going to be
so
a Metasploit
with
module.
What you are given, with what you are given in here, it would not be difficult to write your own. It tells you exactly which flags in the IP packet to set to cause the overflows to happen. So, yeah. I wanted to clarify that there's no actual exploit POCs that I've seen.
Yeah, we actually had that in the show notes like a couple of weeks ago, or whenever it was like first released. We like glazed over it.
Yeah, okay.
Like, no details were out. No details were like really released. And I remember seeing it after the show and going like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna mention I dropped it into the note list we have internally, and I thought like we talked about it, and I was like, thought it was a little bad, whatever.
It's like horrible.
Yeah,
No,
it's pretty critical.
really bad. If you have a fucking Sonic Wall firewall, which how many people have that on their corporate networks, you can take over the firewall. You can do a lot of things with it. So
Wow.
I definitely
Cool.
expect to see quite a few bits of malware using this. What's cool though is they do have some rules for detecting it. So definitely take a look at that when you get a chance.
Oh shit! Shouts out to Dave. Oh, by the way, in the chat, it was nice hanging out. Had a lot of fun.
So this next one here, this reverse RDP attack that enables guests to host escape in Hyper-V. Who knew that Hyper-V was based largely on RDP for managing
Wait, for managing what?
like sessions to connecting to the whatever VM. Basically, somebody demonstrated that you can use RDP functionalities and RDP exploits to escape from the VM.
Wasn't there a secondary pre-op RDP RC that was dropped recently?
I don't recall, but I don't doubt it.
If you're talking about there was 4 bugs that are being called Blue Keep-esque or Blue Keep-like.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and they've got the word wormable attached. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it.
I
Blue
put
Keep
a
exploits
link
out.
to.
No one's got a worm yet, so
Yeah, the
I
Blue
believe
Keep
the
one.
current Twitter name for these is Deja Blue.
Oh, I heard electric Blue Keepaloo.
Well, it has a logo and branding, so you know it's important.
Right.
Awesome.
This reverse RDP stuff, are we talking about? So you RDP, like it's using the RDP protocol. You attach to the Hyper-V guest, and you get, and then it breaks out to the host that you're RDPing from, right?
Yep,
Well,
you
not
can
RDPing from.
you can do clipboard hijacking and path reversal.
Cool.
Yeah,
A clipboard and what? Path reverser?
Reverse.
path traversal.
Oh, path traversal. Yeah, duh. Obviously that makes a lot more sense than what was going through my ears. That's
But
funny.
yeah, so basically the tech scenarios are, clipboard hijacking, which is always cool. But path traversal to write arbitrary files to the host machine, those are definitely things that are possible through this vector. So we'll see where that goes. Have fun. Anybody who manages anything with Hyper-V. I do not. I disable that shit because I need to use VirtualBox.
But there's a lot of VirtualBox and like VMware bugs that come around as well. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying that when the one time I had to use Windows to do any virtualization stuff, I just turned it off. It was too complicated. Or it wasn't even complicated. It was just annoying. Couldn't do any other virtualization without disabling Hyper-V first.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, wormable baby.
Shout out to Trevor for the bits.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Trevor, forget.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to everybody that's wormed Bluekeep.
Yeah,
Nothing. There's POCs and everything. All you gotta do is...
It's the has somebody dropped a public RCE?
Yeah.
I know that there's a really.
I think so.
It's in Immunity Canvas. Like it's a
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's not that's still not really public though.
I mean,
you can get your hands on products that you have to pay
Yeah.
for. I mean, how many
But also
people
like the kind of person that's gonna do a worm with that may not be the kind of person that buys whatever product.
I mean,
Yeah, but
Someone
they could
gave
definitely be
us-
the person who
fair
could
enough.
hack their way in to owning that product in some manner or fashion.
someone gave
Like-
Rapid7 a Metasploit module for it.
Yeah, but it's dropping in a little while. But yeah, they could just wait a few months until Rapid7 or until the Metasploit module comes out or something else public comes out.
Did
I mean, it's all
Rapids...
about like if they're gonna worm it and they're gonna make like if a cyber criminal was to attempt to make money off it, you would assume that they wouldn't have a problem investing and get a return on investment with said worm.
Yeah,
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 that's
that's what
true.
I was thinking.
I don't know.
Well, and it's interesting because WannaCry was a nation state thing, right? Presumably.
Presumably.
There's some potential ambiguity there, but to a certain degree, there's some pretty good chance that it was a nation state thing. So I'm wondering if there's a lot of black hats who don't want to have that kind of attention for making a big worm like that.
Yeah, I don't know. The people that, I guess to quote black hats, that are going to be doing a worm like that don't really have a lot of foresight to do risk evaluation. So
Right, but it does take a lot of foresight to go break into whatever immunity and take that exploit and then weaponize that. I feel like.
A lot of maybe I'm just not understanding Canvas's availability. Is it like almost impossible to get your hands on? It seems like it's just a couple comes down to money.
Yeah, I mean, like companies purchase it to do work, so like it's like it's a tool that they buy. Like a company buys a burp. You look at a professional burp license; it's not cheap,
Yeah.
but companies make money off it, so they buy it, right? Yeah.
But is it the kind of thing where you need to reach out to them and contact them for that? You leave a big paper trail as soon as you do that.
Right, but I mean, you can target somebody who's already bought it if you want to acquire.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, there's a
you
million
don't-
ways.
Yeah, you don't want to go after the company who made it. I mean, that's please take me to jail kind of thinking.
Going after immunity would be a really interesting route of trying to get your hands on it for sure.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't.
Although at that point, like you've already gone through so many different steps to get access to it, you might as well just fucking reverse engineer it yourself.
I mean,
Right.
hell, if you have
Yeah.
access to Immunity's internal network, I think you just stay quiet and have some interesting insight into things. But then again, I'm also not the type of person to do it like that.
Thanks for the bits, guys.
Thank you. I
Hey,
love going off.
if
Hey,
you want to send me that widget, by the way, for the thank you bits thing, I'll pop that up on
Oh
the screen.
yeah. Well, I gotta find it.
Okay, take your
Well,
time.
that's
It's no big
happening.
deal. We can just keep shouting them out manually.
Do you want to go on to the next topic, or not the next topic? 2 topics down from this about injection flaws in big IP load balancers. I thought this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
scary. So yeah, there's the new right here. If anybody doesn't have this, this is like the short write up, but you can read the full blog post in here. There's basically, if anybody's used load balancers, F5 or any other big IP load balancers, if you have to write any I rules at all for any routing stuff, they're written in TCL, and apparently load balancers just they have some sanitization issues, and you can actually inject your own code into certain vulnerable I rules. Now, the problem is that it's not necessarily something that you would know right off the bat. I mean, you could test for it, obviously, the same that you would test for, like, say, shell shock or something, where you have like a test, payload of injection, but you wouldn't really know right off the bat because it's a lot of these are custom I rules, and so basically larger organizations that are using these are going to have to audit their own code to make sure that they are using best practices, because you could pretty much put a payload anywhere that would potentially be parsing data and trigger some sort of something RCE.
So I haven't written Tickle in like some time, but I have written it professionally, and from what I remember, like everything is a string. So there has to be like companies out there that are just like using straight eval type techniques.
Yep, that's
Um,
exactly what this is.
because it's not, yeah, there's nothing inherently broken in the language.
Nope.
And it's actually a really, like, for doing like Tickle expect is actually quite nice. If you want to automate like telnet sessions and stuff, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
No, I love expect.
Yeah, it's totally, like, it's really cool. But I guess somebody just, when you maybe they weren't told it was exactly Tickle, and they went ahead and just wrote what they like companies writing what they think are like firewall rules or like load balancing rules or whatever, and just not having the foresight to think that, hey, this might actually be executable or whatever, injectable.
Yeah, but it's definitely it's an interesting thing. It's something that when I get back to work, I'll play around with too. But this is definitely something that if you do work for a larger organization and you do deal with load balancing, it might be time to brush off some very old Tickle tutorials and potentially save your company from getting injected with something that shuts down your load balancer.
If you do want to find something to, like, a project to play around with Tickle, though, choose anything except egg drop. Like, don't egg drop is a bad example of Tickle, and you'll get a bad taste in your mouth for it.
Wait, what?
So egg drop scripting, like IRC
egg
ones.
drop.
Egg drop used Tickle as its scripting interface, and it was like the worst example of Tickle. Like it's a very unpleasant experience.
Can I get some people in chat to write the letter A or something like that if they had no idea what Tickle was, but do absolutely know what TCL programming language is? Because this whole conversation, I was like, man, I don't know what the fucking hell Tickle is, but oh well,
Yeah,
let me listen to this.
Tickle's a good language.
I always say TCL. That's too funny.
Good.
Just
Yeah, I feel like it's something that
write it poorly,
people
you'll
would rather not
bring on-
speak.
Was that?
So people would rather not speak it.
Yeah, yeah.
Want to
Well, I
admit
mean-
that you're coding in it.
I mean, I want to say somebody put an X in the chat if if your preferred shell of choice is like Tickle Shell. Does anybody listening out there, or
There's-
like maybe add us on Twitter or something? If TCLSH is your go-to,
Go to. Can you imagine?
I want
Like
to
asking
know how many
if
people.
if
Oh,
somebody's
God.
first shell is the Python interpreter.
They just
Yeah.
run
Hey, now,
everything.
IPython's pretty good.
Not one. Not one. There can't be. Like
You
when
need anonymous
so
way to
Tickle that
contact
was
us.
popular like 99.
Keep in mind this is a public chat, so like it's basically a incredibly embarrassing moment.
Oh, if you write that you okay, I get it.
Yeah, nobody's gonna admit that.
It's one of the worst things you could admit.
So the next story that we have on here is pretty cool too. So this is Android Qualcomm chip vulnerabilities. So I didn't read too much into the actual blog post about it. I kind of summarized it, but the vulnerabilities for these Qualcomm chips are buffer overflows in Qualcomm WLAN firmware, and another buffer overflow in that firmware as well, and then a vulnerability in the way that the modem communicates with the Linux kernel driver for Android that can be exploited, and it can overwrite parts of the Linux kernel running on the OS over
Nice.
Wi-Fi
Great.
by sending some malicious packets.
That's great.
Do we have there was a link that went with this as well? Is this in the show notes? There's like an in-depth.
Yep.
Is that on a Goodread? Yeah. Okay. So if you're interested in this one, exploiting the second last thing on Goodreads, exploiting the Qualcomm WLAN modem over the air.
Ooh.
That has all the details you want. There's some nice research out of China, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. So, I one of the things I think the ThugCrowd account retweeted it, but I currently have in my possession Tesla, and I definitely want to throw a few things at it just to see if I can do anything funny. I actually turned on some of the features from our kiosk mode thing that ThugCrowd has at thu.gg, and a lot of them work on the browser.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I turned
Nice.
on location tracking, so I'm curious to know if it worked, if you can track me.
There's no actual. It's just geolocation in the browser.
Yeah.
It's just a DNS redirect to ThugCrowd. We don't have any logs on that.
I still think that doing a WebRTC stun would be super interesting.
Yeah,
would
do
be.
it up.
Yeah.
If you want to do a private one that only I know the link to, do it up. I'm more than happy to mess with that this week. I have it for a week.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah. I'll just go over real quick too. So THU, just Thug, is a short link to ThugCrowd kiosk mode, where if you are somebody who likes to break out of kiosks and POS systems and other embedded computers, basically, you want somewhere to point that browser to when you escape from it finally. There's a bunch of fun links, as well as it tells you the user agent, your IP, and does geolocation as well. It does some browser tests, basically, and gives you access to Neon Cat and special Rickroll acoustic version, the official Rick Astley version, and a bunch of other fun things. Fake the ThugCrowd ransomware notes from a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
All those things are all on there. So if you want to have any fun, if you have any suggestions, you can tweet them at ThugCrowd. We were also thinking about making a public repo of a page similar to it. We didn't want to host one that would be malicious, but I don't know. If you have pen testing needs and you want to add specific things to it, go for it. But we do not want to. We don't want anything destructive or malicious. We don't want to be the #1 distributors of kiosk and POS malware. That's for the Russians. Do that anymore.
Just one thing though. Your mic actually cut out exactly when you were saying the URL. So let me just say it real quick one more time. It's Thug with 2 G's, THU.GG.
And MG, if you're listening, I sent you the Zoom link on
the thing.
On the thing.
On the thing.
sent it to you in the
That's a lot-
secret avian carrier. There's MG. What's up, dude?
MG.
Hey, MG.
He doesn't have a microphone though.
Classic MG.
He's coming though.
He's coming. Everyone get ready.
Get his audio set up.
Hi, friend. Your cable's awesome.
So
He's not on yet.
while MG's arriving, what's this NVIDIA one? Is this more bugs after a week, 2 weeks ago?
I'm not sure. This was posted. I just threw this in there because this was already people were talking about it before. It was just a vulnerability in different display drivers.
Yeah, there was Privesk, like kernel, like into kernel land, because you're like it's literally your display driver.
Yeah.
Arbitrary code execution. So
I love malicious shader.
which one?
It just says or specially crafted shader. It's just like I don't know, just thinking about like a malicious like just like,
Oh yeah,
track
there's some fun stuff you could do with shaders.
Mhm.
Sure. That was a
Seriously.
big problem like a while ago with browser
I
sandbox.
do it. Come on, Bean.
Yeah, like
There
hey,
you go,
what's up,
MG? We can hear you
MG?
now.
MG.
Sorry, I
Happy
didn't realize it was unmuted.
Oh, you're good.
What you do anything fun over the weekend? Or anything interesting? Or just kind of like a same old, same old? You there? Uh-oh.
Who are we talking to?
I was talking to you, MG.
What did I do over the weekend?
Was it
I guess
anything
it was at
fun
Defcon.
or just hanging out?
Wait, no, you didn't hear him. He said he was talking to you.
Which year?
MG. I heard
MG, I'm
that,
talking to you. Did you do anything interesting over the weekend, or was it just kind of like a boring weekend, not doing anything?
I don't think I slept. It was a very, very active 10-day window of time in the horrific location known as Vegas.
I think we called
I should
that a
probably
month.
sleep.
10 days.
Yeah,
10 days is a month.
yeah, that's pretty good.
I guess it is.
But I don't know where we are on the show, and I want to interrupt. So I'll
We're
continue
doing
listening along.
Oh yeah,
and,
we're gonna get
chime in.
the DEFCON part in a second, I guess. Just kind of do
Oh,
all
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Okay. So, any other news that we want to cover before we just get into that? Because we might as well just start talking about it because we have a lot to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Worshipping real quickly. Lol, please send us all of your Wi-Fi pineapples. Like, send them to the IT departments. They need free ones. I think it's stupid.
Wait, what?
Time AI. We talked the warshipping where people were sending like malicious like Dropboxes basically in the mail. Like, send me your malicious Dropbox. Like, I want it. Like, I'll take it free.
Free pineapple.
Yeah. You know,
not a good plan.
the thing is, vendors are so thirsty that they will send you crap like that. So it's not uncommon to get like toys and things like Wi-Fi pineapples and
They
stuff
shouldn't
like
be
that.
plugged in though.
What?
You know you have a problem when they're plugged in though. That's the.
Yeah, they're like shipping them with batteries and stuff. Like,
It's a malicious
awesome.
thing. Yeah, they're shipping them so that
No.
when
I
they
was,
have local access. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
you don't even need to open the box, man. They're good.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the office.
Yeah, the only point I was trying to make is just it's not even uncommon of a thing, so it wouldn't even come off as suspicious.
Well,
if
and
you
it's
do it
like
the right
not
way.
like in most companies, the mailroom people are not. Oh, this box has something suspicious in it. Let me take a look. You know, I've
Yeah,
seen
I mean,
signals coming out of it.
yeah, just make sure you figure out an employee that recently left. Ship it to their name because the company can't open it, and they'll just kind of have to hang on to it for a while.
Or ship it while everybody's at Defcon.
Yeah, it'll work too.
Cool. What else have we got? I think. All right. So the last thing that I think we should talk about, just really quickly to segue into our next DEFCON craziness, is that the British police are threatening prosecution for anyone caught mocking a drug dealer's haircut.
Wait, what?
So this guy basically, the police put his photo up on social media, and everyone just started making fun of the dude's haircut. They were like, "Yeah, police are combing the area," and
Such a bad pun, but it's such a great pun.
yeah, like just like a bunch of basically just trolling this criminal dude, and police like, "Yo, what? Stop!"
Or we're going to arrest you? That seems a little
So,
excessive.
Think about how many times that's happened, and it's also worked out for the person. Like that guy with the big neck that everyone was making fun of, like got like a rap deal. He's on like World Star Hip Hop. Like him and the guy with the long neck. Yeah, those are like, and then the other guy that really like the the most beautiful convict or whatever. That guy who got like a modeling contract after his mug. To people, like I don't get it. Like just like,
did you see the one guy who was getting a fade at the barber, and they had this huge gap in it, and then they captioned it with a World War II screenshot, and it said that his head looks like a trench.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think that like if they're going to post people's full face and the stupid ass crime that they got caught doing, I don't know. Like that's like what the internet's for. People are just doing.
What?
Yeah, how about they fucking stop posting their pictures?
Or make yourself look special before you get arrested, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if they have that big of an issue with it, maybe they should stop posting people's pictures.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't there a whole website dedicated to like beautiful people who had mugshots? I think
There's a whole website. Yeah, I think there's a couple of those that were shut down due to like some weird legal reasons.
Making fun of their haircuts? They got
No, it was not making fun. Like there was a few websites that were like hosting mugshots for certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff, but that information becomes public, and it just becomes public really quickly. I just feel like it's not an enforceable thing. I mean, it's cool, I guess, they're trying to like protect people's privacy, but at the same time, you're posting their name, address, date of birth, where they lived, past crimes. That's a lot of info about somebody to post publicly.
So I read through the article. This is to protect their privacy, supposedly?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Oh, that's it.
Jesus, what's wrong with the British? Okay.
Just like one of the things I've noticed in the news, I get like not the security news, like the regular people news, is there's been a lot of debate over trolling on Facebook, and there's been a lot of people that have been very vocal, like guests on breakfast shows and stuff, saying that like even on like Ellen and what's that one where women sit around the table and talk, The View, The Chat, something.
The View.
Yeah, The View. And they were like, I can't remember where I saw it, but they were like on YouTube or something, they were like, trolls should be arrested and stuff. It's like, what are you going to do? Like, it's trolling.
The craziest part about that, too, is the people that are the most vocal about that are typically actors and people that are famous, and obviously they get trolled way more than the average person. But to advocate for arresting because of trolling, unless it's harassment kind of trolling, which there is a line, unless it's like that, then you just need to maybe not be on Twitter or whatever publicly.
I think if somebody sends you a message, like a DM, and says like, you are trash at what you do, die, like you just gotta read it and go like, lol.
Excuse you, that's grounds for arrest.
Like who are you? Like,
well, it's like when the time when MySpace Tom was like, oh, how's it feel, like fucking da-da-da-da-da. He was like, I sold MySpace for millions of dollars and you're a fucking egg on Twitter, so
that's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like trolling is definitely been weaponized, and people go really far with stuff. That's what leads to swatting and other bullshit like that. But definitely think that people, I don't know, people. I feel like people just some people weren't ready for the internet.
Yeah. I think society's going to need to adjust. I know that schools have a big deal about cyberbullying, and I think the whole. It's really if somebody starts trolling, a lot of people just like jump in and throw their comments in as well.
Yeah.
And it builds up really quickly.
They're usually not funny either.
No, and
It's true.
I think that should be really a crime. If you have a comeback, you should go to jail.
Yeah. If your jokes suck, you go to jail, and you get a fine.
Yeah, you have to have good, witty.
Has to be done well. Like if you're gonna, you have to be real subtle, and use the art of the troll, not just be like, "You suck." Like that's not very good. Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah,
I think it should be illegal if it's not funny. I think that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the hair or the police combing thing. So that person.
It's really
That was a good joke. Yeah, nobody got hurt there. That was good.
Nobody should be arrested for that joke. That dad joke. Oh,
Alternatively, there are jokes people should get arrested for. That's
like
90%
Adam
of Twitter.
Sandler. Anything Adam Sandler does basically should be.
Straight to jail.
This was a crime. Every scene in that movie was a crime.
Yeah, we have a ton of good reads though. Everybody here, we have a ton of cool projects. We have a ton of cool cheat codes, and we have a ton of Safari stuff. So everybody who is in here who listens to ThugCrowd, please check out this show notes page because there's a lot of cool stuff here. And if you have anything, like we say, tag us CC ThugCrowd on Twitter, and we can review it and add it to our notes. If you have any cool projects you want to shout out to, same. Or if you find anything really weird on the internet, share it.
Unless it's too weird. You know what I mean by that.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
If anybody's using
Different kind of weird.
Kubernetes, in a security, like if you're a security guy at a company that uses Kubernetes, like a security person, sorry, at a company using Kubernetes, there is a Kubernetes audit repo in the projects that is very interesting and very long, and you should probably look at it. Emergent technologies, stay on top.
Hey, did
alright,
you guys want to take a break before we go into the next part, or just keep going on?
I mean, we could take maybe a 4 or 5 minute break.
All right, let's do it.
But
Okay.
then we can just come back and start talking about Defcon. So I want to hear more about MG's stuff as well if he's still here. And yeah. Oh yeah. I guess we'll be back in a minute.
All right, sounds good.
300 seconds.
We'll
No
see you
longer,
guys
no
in
less.
a little bit.
Probably a little longer or less.
A little bit. We'll play it by ear. All right, we'll be back, guys.
See ya. There's
That's 1, 2.
Just
Oh, I think it might be the thing where we can hear him.
Maybe Dan's just a figment of our imagination. And he's like not actually a real hacker or anything. It's just like completely made up.
I actually heard that he was like 80 hackers.
I now I can hear us on stream.
Oh, cool. Hello.
There's still music, I'm pretty sure.
So hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry, we're still struggling with them.
what's up, everybody? We're back. Yeah, sorry. As you just said, I'm not sure if you can hear him, or were previously able to hear him, but you should be able to now. And we're back. So,
back.
There we
what's
go.
up, guys? You back too?
We're back.
We're all back.
All right, let's get into it. So,
There we go.
on Blackhat. What happened?
Blackhat? I wasn't there, but everyone knows about the 5-dimensional cryptography.
Yeah.
This man could bend space and time on stage.
Yeah, that was really cool. I like that concept for a talk. I didn't know that you could just do a talk by just paying a Blackhat a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's like a Doctor Strange thing, right?
Totally just paid to do like a talk, and then was it one of the dudes from Trailer Bits? I forget his name. Yeah, and he just totally just called him on it, just like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I asked him who he worked for.
It's as if like some vendor would be sending somebody there to discourage this newly launched innovation in mathematics and science that's going to completely rock the entire industry.
I mean, it rocked the industry, all right.
So there was a talk last year at Defcon where they tracked people who would basically publish like fraudulent papers and do fraudulent conference talks to like boost their company's value basically to investors by saying, oh, we talked at 100 conferences last year, but the conferences were like 4 people and they all just sort of like say whatever, and they made up like fake bullshit, but like similar to like the time cube, whatever the fuck that was, and just shout gibberish basically. Like they just like tested the whole system and were able to just basically do nothing and get a published paper and a published talk
As a Markov bot, yeah.
So come to $VPN Con.
Does anybody know how much they paid to get that space? Like, if I have to pay $1,000 to say whatever the fuck I want, like, I think that's a pretty good spend.
$1,000 is like less than a Blackhat ticket, so I'm gonna assume that they paid many thousands.
tens of thousands at least.
But
Yeah.
they were able to just pay their way in.
Yeah, I don't know how many like sponsored talk. I haven't been to Blackhat proper before. I don't know how many sponsored talks there actually are, but I mean that sort of thing is common amongst a lot of industries. But there are, I feel like for industries where there is a lot of hard science and a lot of research stuff, it's people do call it out, but it's not the same crowd as Blackhat or Defcon per se, where somebody who knows is definitely going to be the first person to stick their nose up and be like, "Excuse me," like they're literally you're talking to a room full of actually guys, like the
Yeah.
the meme, like it's that.
That was actually like I used to fear that a lot giving presentations, like going into a room and trying to be very confident about what I know, but also knowing that there's people in the crowd that do know more than me and what I'm about to say.
Mhm.
And hopefully you have enough content that you like cover enough things well enough that your presentation's good. But if you take any one of those things, someone knows more than you about it for sure. Unless you like wrote it yourself, like unless it's like a very like specific thing, like a general technology, there's gonna be like, if you're gonna talk about uh, scheduling inside like the Linux kernel, some guy is gonna be like the ultimate at that, and that's not you. So be very careful about what you speak about, but also don't be afraid to share what you know as well, because there's a lot of people who don't know everything that you do. And I think this guy was probably betting on that people would just sort of accept what he was telling them. Well, that's what he was. Yeah.
Well, it's not like he was. It's not like he was just some random researcher giving this talk that didn't make sense. It was very clearly designed to promote their product.
Yeah. Which I'd love to see. Like, how do they deliver that? Does it come as as a device? Does it come as a software suite?
I mean,
It's more of a feeling.
Lotus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dimensional encryption.
Just like it's a certain feeling.
Chain.
Yeah, there's actually like tachyon neutrinos that you need very expensive detectors to detect deep beneath the Earth's crust.
You actually
confirm it, so
you can't tell if it exists or not until you buy the product.
Well, even then, you're just getting the result from the product. It's so advanced.
What about the how was the meetup that happened?
The meetup was good. It started off a little slow, but we all kind of clubbed together. I think the definite highlight of that first meetup were the below my name is stickers. Shout out to ReadMe for getting those.
Yeah, well, and it was hilarious because I was sitting there trying to figure out, where everybody was, and ReadMe was literally standing like 2 feet behind me. It was super sneaky.
Yeah, we were standing around all of each other and couldn't figure out who was actually Hugh.
Well, I mean, the bar was packed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And by the end of the meetup, all wearing below my name is stickers.
Yeah, by the end of the meetup, everybody in the bar was not Dan. It was great.
So I don't remember who told me this, but someone walked up and said they heard a group of non-Defcon people walk by and go, "What's up with all these not Dan stickers?"
Oh yeah, I had a few people ask that.
That's great.
We were giving them out to everyone. Goons, Vegas, just random people, a bunch of Defcon people.
That's amazing.
It was a time. And then the next night, I think Nux showed up with a bunch of the stickers the green stickers with the profile picture. And those went
you said
everywhere.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of the sticker swap, and anything that's sticker swap gets everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You and I dropped a few 100 stickers at the sticker swap.
Yeah.
That's
they ended up in the press room too.
That's too bad. And if any of you,
I brought like 80 stickers, and they're gone in less than 5 minutes.
What are you saying, Dan?
I was gonna say if any of you guys happen to get crebbed, I'm gonna be there just as hardcore as everybody else has been there for me. I really appreciate it. If
Yeah,
in theory
for
I
sure.
was not
It was a wonderful
Dan
experience
or Dan
because
or whoever.
either when stickers got dropped somewhere or were given out, people were like, "Hell yeah," and super supportive, or
That's
they
so
just found out about it and became super supportive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There was not, at least on my end, I don't think there was a total anyone who was like, "What? Not Dan stickers?"
Well, there might have been like one or two.
I didn't see anything,
InfoSec
and I gave out a
bloggers.
few hundreds.
There mi-
Like literally, I think I saw more of those stickers than most of the other stickers, except
Yeah,
for maybe for the
I mean,
18 weeks only ones. Those were pretty popular.
it was given away at any chance. Like walking from Bally's to Planet Hollywood, bunch of people getting stickers on the way.
That's amazing.
I really liked all the different ways that people had written like "Not Dan" as well.
Oh
was
yeah,
fun.
that was great.
There was a lot of dedication put into those stickers. And, it was pretty, like, and people like just random people were tweeting out like they're not there, like not version of the "Not Dan" sticker. I was like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
That's
like
like
logic gates and like like
Yeah, the
there's-
Logic Gate one was great.
I tried to give the love by retweeting as much as possible. And yeah, there was a huge amount of them. It's insane to me that out of like 7 years, I think, that's the first year that one of the Not Dans of these 100 didn't go, unfortunately, due to some other things going on. But seeing it from afar was even more surreal, to be honest. I cannot imagine what it would have been like to be there and kind of see that all going down. I probably actually, yeah, I think I probably would have gotten real shy and hid.
I think the funniest thing, which I don't know, you might take it as a good thing or a bad thing, but think of how spread out over the world these stickers are.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
stickers.
surreal thing. It really is. But the support of it, yeah. I mean, I can't possibly thank everybody enough. It's been real. It's been awesome, and to see, MG's, I think, still in the stream, but there's a little bit of a thing
I'm here.
last night between some Twitter drama, and I read through some things that just kind of reaffirmed that, man, there's just really no kind of self-reflection happening on the other side of the equation, and it's too bad. But I'm not gonna let it rule my life and anything like that. I'm having fun with it. I absolutely having fun with the fact that you guys did all that craziness. You guys really shocked the hell out of me with that. So it was cool though. I love it.
oh yeah.
Internet's
Hell yeah.
forever.
So did anybody see any really cool talks they want to discuss or sorry, you supposed to say DNZ?
No, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, anybody see anything really like interesting? Any interesting talks or presentations or what have you?
I didn't see much, but one thing I definitely want to mention is but I'm from Vogue.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened
So,
there?
does somebody want to, like, buses? Do you want to fill everyone in on
Sure.
the Sky Talk?
I have a secondhand view, but I think maybe just one of us, maybe a few, whatever, had press badges on behalf of ThugCrowd. But one of the core ThugCrowd people was going to one of the Sky Talks, and one of the terms of the speakers is that all members of the press wouldn't be attending the talk. And I believe the ejected people were one of us, and then a different person who, once ejected, went up to the goons and went, "But I'm from Vogue. Don't you want me here?
From Vogue, huh? Like,
Who's gonna
covering
give
the side of
coverage?"
state.
Oh.
Yeah,
wonder if
and
the
it's just
Vogue
for
crowd
everyone
actually
listening who
did
doesn't know about Sky Talks. Sky Talks are meant to be not recorded. They give you a very strong disclaimer that if you like bring your phone up to take a picture, your phone will be taken from you.
And sledgehammer.
And smashed. They literally have a sledgehammer. Which I think is amazing.
I heard that there was actually a phone sledgehammered.
Yeah.
This year?
But it was thankfully not a phone that was lost.
Yeah, there was some concern about.
Comrade Evie lost the same model phone that happened to be sledgehammered, but it was not the same phone.
I think with like the whole speakers asking not to get recorded is like super important. I know that like in my con experience, like we've had people record speakers who have specifically said this can't be like, you know, I work for blah blah blah, don't record it, like appreciate it, thank you. And then people have gone ahead and recorded it. And I think like if you're a con attendee and you're in the room with somebody who's sharing their knowledge with you and like sharing their, you know, insights or whatever, like don't be a dick.
Yeah,
you know?
and some of these people are speaking when they're bound by terms beyond their control to not talk about it, whether or not it's because it's an embargoed thing, or even just because they're afraid of being sued and frankly they don't have a reason other than they just are not wanting to do it publicly. Then you gotta fucking respect that. Like,
I mean, they're at Sky Talks for a reason.
Yeah,
It's an off the record type thing, and ignoring that is really just ridiculous.
You came to Sky Talks to hear Sky Talks content, which is known explicitly to need that kind of level of.
Yeah,
you have to account for people not wanting themselves recorded and things like that.
I think I've been to a few Sky Talks, and it's absolutely the biggest reason that I would buy a badge to be able to go to those.
Yeah. I remember going to one where someone was actually had to phone in as a iPad on a Segway, and they even put an eye patch over the camera on the iPad, which was real funny.
That is very funny.
But yeah, like, oh man, I totally forgot where I was going with that. No.
That's an interesting thing. Taking notes. I'm hearing a lot of people do. I've actually never seen a lot of people take notes.
I mean, you can't wipe someone's memory, so.
Well, you can't wipe someone's memory, but writing notes exactly while they're talking can catch a lot of detail that you might not be able to remember 30 minutes
I will
ago.
say, though, the point of anonymity is almost always, not to, or of the lack of media is almost always to protect the person versus the content.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Right. Like the whole point of doing a talk is to, spread information.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel then about like being a conference attendee and having like, because personally I don't take photo, like, I'll go like, it takes a long time to get to America. I'll get all the way to Vegas and I'm on a holiday as well as being at a con, and I don't take any photos because I know that like, even like there's a couple of photos of all the years I've been at Defcon. One of them is a selfie with Mitnick, but probably the worst one. But like, if somebody's taking a photo around you, doesn't it feel like super weird? Like, please don't take my photo, even as like, not even if you're not speaking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, there's just a lot of people there that just don't want to be photographed in general. Like that's.
Yeah, and I think the thing that sucks about it is that in a casino, you can't hide your face.
Right.
Because you can't be wearing a mask.
Well, actually,
there was actually. Go on.
Can you wear a mask in the casino though? I think you might be able to.
I mean, there were like the furries, right, in their fursuits, which I'm guessing,
I'm assuming you can't sit down like and play blackjack, but you can walk through the casino with masks on. So
or like the masks, right? The like flu masks or whatever.
Casinos are famous for having like world-renowned facial recognition software.
Right.
So obscuring the face will probably do it, but yeah, you probably would not be able to gamble or anything.
Forgot
Right.
someone made sunglasses with embedded IR LEDs for that purpose.
Yeah, although a lot of the newer or more advanced cameras don't have as much of a problem with IR.
I have noticed that. I noticed IR is not an effective countermeasure as much anymore. And I mean,
Yeah.
casinos,
I
those are
mean,
going to be the first
I
ones.
was talking to some people and they're saying about if you like white out your eyebrows and then put black underneath your eyes, the way that
yeah, that'll do
the algorithms work a lot of the times is to detect the lightest and darkest parts and then the distance between them, and
Yeah.
so doing that like screws with the actual way the images
And
are.
So
The jawline as
juggalos.
well.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's the reason why, is because
Uh,
the most popular algorithms do it that way, and so it
yeah.
obscures
It
things a
depends
bit.
though. I'm sure that like it seems feasible that Vegas has had enough people in different casinos that because I don't know if using a static algorithm would work for how Vegas has their camera set up because it's basically people that all look completely different from all different angles.
Well,
It-
that's
it-
the reason why these algorithms exist, is to put people into boxes, to not regardless of what they
Right.
look like. Everyone has eyebrows. Everyone has light
Right,
points and
but-
dark points on their faces.
Well,
and
not everybody has eyebrows. First off,
Yeah.
and second off, I think that a lot of facial recognition for like a larger scale is potentially machine learning.
Yeah.
And have a little bit of a like, and in that kind of scenario, using that trick will work for a while, but then it will stop to work. It will stop working once enough.
Well,
people use
it'll
it.
so it identifies your face, I think, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 5 points per side of the face, so 10 points total, and it measures the distance between them, in two from up down and then left right, and the distance between the dots form just like basically a numeric value, and that's what's actually stored. It's not. If you were to look at like a facial recognition with the raw data, it's numbers. It's not.
Yeah, it's the same way they do fingerprints, where
Right.
they find swirls and whatnot,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
turn that into a
Although you do need
number.
to do the segmentation, so you can once you have the location of the face, then you can do recognition based off of that. But locating and detecting that face, I think, requires something a little bit more fuzzy.
I think the
So,
other thing. Sorry, I know you want to move on. I'll just make it quick. I think one of the things though is that if you do the same thing where you're whiting out your eyebrows and doing some black makeup, that'll absolutely make a new person ID in their database. But now that person ID is going to be tracked. So like you said, eventually it breaks down and your privacy
You gotta have
is
dynamic faces, man.
yes.
Yeah, like a Scanner Darkly.
Great movie.
Cycle your face every 2 weeks.
If
So,
they're still IR perceptive, you can simply have a grid of IR LEDs pointed at your face, just kind of rotating the illuminations around.
Ooh,
Kind of fun.
MG,
Yeah.
you would know
So
this one.
MG,
There's
speaking of sweet MG hardware hacks,
yeah.
Oh shit.
you gave away a bunch of baggies and sold a bunch of baggies as well.
I
They
did.
They didn't contain drugs. Well, they
Depends
contain
how you define drugs, but yeah.
It'll give you a dopamine hit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we had the demon seed,
Yes, we did. 5
Dragon
grams of
seed.
demon seed per
Just-
bag.
and so
What's the demon seed? For people that don't know, or are we not? Are we not sure?
I'll let DNZ finish, and then I'll fill in that blank.
no, fill in that blank, and then we'll go on to the OMG cable after.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. The demon seed is simply the name I gave to that really basic AT tiny target. The AT tiny implant that I was messing around with like 2 years back. and then it's the same circuit that my friend Kevin stole. And then let's see that I decided that it was worthwhile to turn into kind of an educational kit and make it as cheap as I possibly could for people to kind of learn. Well, it was a choose your own adventure thing where there was like 3 different skill sets, whether it was going down to the bare board and doing some solder paste reflow with surface mount components, or next level up would be the continuation of that is where you're assembling a little pogo jig programmer and pushing a bootloader onto this AT-Tiny. And the next step beyond that was, you got an assembled board with a bootloader on it. You just have to solder 4 points, 4 solder points from the board to a USB connector, and now you've got basically it's a really, really stripped down ducking, a few ways, but it works. And then you can put that inside of a cable that charges the phone. No data pass through because it's a little more complicated and kind of harder to do in a class setting. But I basically had a assembled board and an unassembled board, and pogo jig assembly all kind of wrapped in these little 1 inch by 1 inch bags with Batman logos or skulls on them, and handing those out. Started off I went out to Vegas early for teaching at Blackhat. Joe Fitz had some classes. Let's see, there was about 4 days where I was helping run them. These specifically were about rapid prototyping and hardware implants. So it was a good experience there, teaching a lot of people. And in those classes are where I first handed out a bunch of those bags for people to test out and play with. But my wife beforehand had helped me hand place for reflow about almost 250 of those. So there's 6 components per board, 250 boards worth, really tiny things. But had a whole bunch of them and decided to just bag them all up and make them, I think it was $20, which is very close to the cost of somebody who wanted to go and do their own. So hopefully a whole bunch of people grab those and brings them back home, and they learn how to go through that entire process. What they may or may not realize is that a lot of the things involved there, especially like the pogo jig stuff and the interfacing, it's a lot of the fundamentals of just hardware hacking in general, and just interfacing with hardware you want to maybe get root on or whatever it may be. All the skills are kind of built into that at an early stage, but it was a lot of fun.
You know what? I just find that I was following it along. I was following you along on Twitter as usual while you were teaching and stuff, and I noticed that it was your wife's first time at Defcon, and you brought her along to help you assemble hundreds of parts.
Yep.
That is dedication. Deserves a shout out.
Yes,
that's exactly actually what I was just gonna say. DNZ is I saw that it was her first time, and one really super cool thing that she said was, hey, wait, I've never done any of this stuff before, but with enough repetition and practice, it's actually not so bad. I think that actually was pretty encouraging to me to maybe retake it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure you get one of those 5 gram bag of 5 gram bags of demon seed over there, and you can do what you wish with it. But yeah, as I said, my wife, as you said, wife picked those up and went through it and found a decent portion of that pretty accessible, which is kind of the goal there.
It's so
That's great.
If your partner can do it, generally, like if unless you're already in the same field, then that's generally a good sign that it's accessible. So the second thing that before we get onto the OMG cable, because I know I do want to talk about that, but you had some other goodies that you'd purchased, and that, do you know what I'm talking about?
Tell me.
Last year,
I had a few.
last year there was the money gun that you had the Monero buddy, and the bags, the bags of cash. But this year there was something totally different, and that was teeth.
Yes. So I didn't actually really get into that. I just kind of had some of them on me.
I'll be
My
back.
plan here,
I'm
though.
I did
leaving.
not know
I-
about this.
Yes, teeth. Dan loves this project. I don't think I fully told him about it, so maybe I can. But yeah,
God
I kind
damn it.
of build everything backwards, right? So, I've got this basic idea that's really unsettling, and I haven't yet figured out a way to wrap it into some sort of tech of any form, right?
Oh
But
my
that's
God.
the goal. But anyway, building backwards. Teeth. You can find teeth on eBay. You can find real human teeth. You can find actual human children's teeth on eBay.
My God.
It's great. You can find all kinds of crazy, weird things on eBay, but they're kind of expensive.
Kind of
Yeah, yeah.
expensive.
Exactly. And I did buy some. Now these weren't actual human teeth because they were kind of expensive, and I wanted a lot of them. 100 of them. I have 100 teeth. I went and just got like what seems to be veneers, which is they're meant to be extremely realistic looking to replace people's teeth. So that was a good start. My goal here is to make a silicone cast of them, and then basically, I don't know if you ever made hard candy before, but it's pretty fucking easy.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. I want like a perfect match to teeth, hard candy, and I'm going to make hard candy teeth that you pull out of your pocket and you crunch away on, and it'll be great.
Oh, dude. So first of
It's
all,
just-
Everybody's nightmare. The teeth falling out nightmare, like you crunch them.
Exactly. Like
so-
it's literally a thing. Like out of all the nightmares, if you just go Google common nightmares,
yeah.
Well,
and then you
Yeah.
think, which of these can I reify for people? There's not many you can actually get away with.
You
Very-
make casts of them. You could scan it, and people could 3D print it.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
actually
yeah,
a few
sure.
people that.
That is a very fucking terrifying idea, and I'm glad I have not crossed it, sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
As
Okay.
I was
there's gonna
telling
be-
someone.
So
It's built into you, man. You have a visceral like human reaction that everyone does for the most part.
I love it.
That's fucking horrible, and it's great. So it's
Yeah.
a really good thing that you can trigger that response on them and connect it to something else. And
This is
we're
one of
all
my
gonna have a bad time, and it's great.
It's one of my favorite parts of your twisted ticker is you
I don't know
think
what's up
of,
there, man.
You think teeth? There's some teeth up there. At
yeah.
least.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm sold on this. This sounds fantastic.
So
Right?
I thought
We'll get there.
I thought you were saying
and it's like you,
that the-
especially if Halloween comes around
well,
and you have
yeah.
trick or treaters.
I thought there
Yes.
already were teeth or there already were candy that look like teeth. If there is not currently,
There might be, yeah.
you should get on that quick and
Oh, yeah.
make a buck for
I mean,
for
I'm not gonna-
Halloween.
Man, I doubt I would mass produce and sell them because
No,
Yeah, just go to
you
MG's
fucking what,
Etsy
the
store.
FDA? Yeah,
but like
I-
especially
I-
if you did it right, if you mixed it right, like if you made the candy correctly, you could probably
Yeah.
make it look like the right level of shininess as well.
Oh, exactly. It would be super easy. The trick would be there's a variety of sugars out there. You got to get the right one so that it doesn't pull in so much water from the air, because that's a common issue with hard candy. It'll rapidly do that, and then you just have sticky teeth. Really, I don't know. I want
I
like
love
so-
that
I
you've
want
put
you to
this much
hear the
effort into
ticking
it.
sound when it drops on like the hard countertops and stuff.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
the whole thing has to be, an experience.
I love you, and I hate you sometimes, man. That is just
So-
a horrible.
If you can give me a
horrifying idea.
reason sooner rather than later to connect this with some sort of technology, it'll allow it to get out of my head faster. But if we don't get that, it sits in my head for a really long time, and bad things happen to it,
Love it.
I got
and
you.
then it comes out.
I
There's
got you.
also like Elmo dolls sitting around.
No, you need to get some molars, so they're pretty big, or wisdom teeth or something, like some of the
Oh yeah, I
larger
got them
teeth.
all.
Yeah, and you need to put you need to do the origami PCB, like the flexible PCB that is
Right.
like an ESP or something on that inside the tooth, so it's like a full Wi-Fi tooth. So
Alright.
all the schizophrenics
Yeah.
that have said, there's radios in their teeth. I want a real radio in a tooth.
You know, I gotta say, technology
I could
these
do that,
days.
actually.
Right. If you do it right, the NSA will also be monitoring it. If you put it on the internet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You'd have to have something that vibrates just a tiny bit so it transmits into the bone.
Dude,
Yeah, that's pretty
Internet of
good.
Teeth.
Okay, hold
Internet
on.
of Teeth, that's what it is.
What freaks me out the most is MG's gonna have candy teeth and a few hundred real teeth.
I mean, here,
he
I got
has
a
them
cup
right
somewhere.
now,
I can
right? You
play
have
the
them right now.
sound.
Yeah, but I mean,
see
like,
if I
if
can
you're
find
handing
them.
out candy teeth, I don't know how much, like,
Oh, yeah.
you mix in a few real teeth.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
have
you're
a
gonna get surprised you bite into.
That's so funny. I love it.
There they are.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's just like one of those cereal box things. There's
So good.
there's a real human tooth in every box.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my god.
Like you can just feel it. But anyway, sorry.
Just
We're
drop
talking
one.
about
real-
teeth for about
drop
5
one.
minutes here.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, I just remember when we were at the music show and you were like tying black string around glow sticks,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's the perfect explanation of like how your brain
Oh, yeah.
works. There's like
I forgot about
constant
that.
mischief, constantly mischief.
To explain and elaborate that a little bit, they were handing out a bunch of glow sticks in a really dark like music venue at Defcon, and there was a whole bunch of these like really, I don't know, they were like 3 foot long, black rubbery-ish type string things, and nobody was taking them. So you got to modify what's in front of you. I was just basically making that into really long, like 50 plus feet strings that you can go fishing and all kinds of tripwires and stuff like that in large groups of people that can't be seen in such
Oh my
dark
God.
environments. It was really good. It's fun. People
that's right.
people smiled. It was great.
I remember. Oh,
The mischief maker.
yes.
So that's what the M stands for, mischief.
Yeah.
So the final thing, I guess. Oh, I don't know if it's the final thing. The next thing, the OMG cables, obviously
yes.
made it all the way to Reddit's R technology subreddit. The technology.
Jesus Christ! I need to read those
No,
comments. The comments are brilliant
should.
everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, they're so bad.
I love them.
so many screenshots. She was just going through the whole thread and just pointed face of just like everything. And yeah, you definitely read it for a laugh.
Great.
Be able to have some highlights if you want them.
Great, man. I love when it breaks even out of like the technical realm, which is kind of started to, and you're like, how is this legal? And shit like that. I'm like, oh, I love this. Yeah.
And this is
it's
this
been
is a
interesting.
non-response.
We need to
the,
get Decoded
Vice
on here too,
article,
because he's
right?
been grinding
I
on
mean,
this.
If Decoded was listening, he should check his DMs.
Oh, he's on the
Yeah.
Twitch chat for sure.
Yeah.
But
Well, at least somebody that is purporting to be decoded. But
No, that's his. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So
here.
it was-
No, you're here right there. Like you're literally in the chat.
It was the drop of that was great. Got a lot of good feedback. I priced them pretty much double what I think we'll be able to get them out there for once they're kind of produced by somebody else other than me in my house, taking 4 hours per cable to do. But yeah, so it was. I think it was. What was it? Yeah, I was pressing for $200 with the prototypes, and a lot of people who didn't know anything about it would come up and like, "What's this?" And they're like, "What the fuck? $200 for a cable?" I'm like, "That's good. That means you will not buy this 4-hour build cable and put it on your desk and never fucking use it." So that was great.
Nice.
And basically found a decent amount of people who are very, very likely to leverage this in the next month or two and really, really actually use it instead of just like having an impulse buy, which is what I was going for. It's like you come back later if you're an impulse buyer and get the the one that'll go up in Hack 5, and I don't have to deal with like the customer service shit that comes out of that. It's like I want to go back to making more evil shit because I got them all in my head, and I have been wasting a lot of time just trying to get this mass production thing going, and it's the learning experience, but fuck, it's
So,
not
I
as
mean,
fun
the
as just
OMG
building
cable-
it.
the OMG cable. Let's just quickly TLDR. We're talking bit
Oh,
banging
yeah.
lightning, and there's all kinds of like OTA payload stuff and
Yeah.
all kinds of good shit.
Yeah. You want?
But
Okay,
some
I'll
of the-
run. Oh, you go for it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
run through the list. No, you run through the list first.
Yeah.
'Cause this will
So,
be
so what we got, the OMG cable, which is distinctly different from the Demon Seed kit. Although at the very base level, it's a malicious cable, and they both are kind of bit banging USB to emulate a keyboard. But yeah, the OMG cable basically, its physical enclosure is basically identical to a legitimate Apple Lightning cable. Specifically went that pathway because in terms of USB-A cables, the USB-A connector housed cables, the Apple ones are probably the biggest pain in the ass to do because of how lean they are. And there's some other things like, the MFI built into it and stuff like that. So it's kind of a proof of capabilities. It's like, hey, if we can hit this, we can pretty much hit all of the other USB-A cables. And that's why Apple has always been kind of a focus of mine, just specifically because it's so much harder to do than the other ones. It's really weird to see people like, oh, Apple fucked up. They're like the weakest ever. And it's like, dude, wait, what? No, it's literally the opposite, but cool. Anyway, yeah, so, it's a fully functioning Lightning cable. Looks just like one. You plug it in. It's going to easily be any other, USB-A cable with maybe a mini on the end or whatever, USB-C on the end. You plug it in, works just like a cable, and also happens to emit, currently it's emitting anyway, a wireless access point. It can also be a wireless client that connects to a nearby network, but by default opens up a wireless access point that you as the attacker connect to. With my iPhone, I'm currently getting around 300 feet of range direct to the cable. Line of sight kind of, near my house. I'm sure that shortens a bit as you get into dense environments, but that's where it's at now, and it's pretty good for such a small package. Anyway, you connect up to it, you dynamically create, load, save, do whatever you want with HID payloads. So that's going to be keyboard, mice, mostly mice jiggling in the current state. I got other fun things in there. Decode has been working on like self-destruct, which to my knowledge has no way to recover the data once we kick that off. It's basically a forensic wipe of the whole chip itself. You get the stock
that's cool.
stuff that's still in the silicon. Of course, we're not going to erase that, but basically all evidence of the malicious evil shit in the code gone. So, that's a fun one to put in there. You can put that in your Ducky script itself, or even just have a button you can manually kick that off. It doesn't enumerate as anything to the hosts right until you push, go on the payload. So you can sit there stealth for as long as you want. And when it does get flattened and we do the self-destruct thing, it goes right back to just being a functional cable. Data's passing through it, charge is passing through it, exactly as you think. If you really want to be an ass, or maybe you just want to get your target to let go of the cable, you can kind of brick it to some extent where the data no longer works and it's just kind of charging. So it's like, oh shit, my cable's broken. Time to throw that away and get a new one. What else do we got? God, there's some other things in there. We're actually working on some really cool shit that it's built into the hardware now. And Decoded and I are going back and forth real deep on this, really pushing this chip beyond what it was ever supposed to do. Dude, we are so close, and I wish I could talk about it right now, but very, very soon. Should be so much fucking fun. It's very different than just being some sort of external input device. So, what else am I missing? I don't know.
What you described so far is just mind blowing. That's awesome stuff, especially the self-destruct stuff. That's really cool.
Some ant catalog toys.
So, what I wanted to get onto next, now that you've explained what it can do, is what the internet thought it could do.
Oh God!
and some of the comments, I think you might have found this gem. Was like, at best it will be able to get the default documents folder. Somebody else said it must be using a reverse shell through the laptop to use the laptop's Wi-Fi.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh man, there was just like just endless comments of people who are speculating, just like with zero knowledge. Like, oh, I took hacking 101. Like, let me tell you how this works.
Half of those people didn't even read the very articles they're commenting on, and the ones that claim to be interested, of course, didn't even maybe click the sources that would go back to the videos that literally answered all those questions. But that's the way it works.
Shout out to her for
the internet. Everybody is
Hell
an
yeah.
expert. You must listen to me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the things you just mentioned really touched on an interesting aspect of this, push button hack kit that it's in their mind also includes the payload. Whereas, this is a piece of hardware and you put your own payload in it. And
Right.
if anybody knows anything about HID stuff, X5 Ducky, whatever it may be, the payloads where the meat of the shit happens. Like the hardware is just doing the initial handoff, and then all the evil shit ends up happening on the software side. So yeah, you gotta fucking know how to make a Ducky payload. Wow. But maybe all the people who don't know that really shouldn't be touching this stuff anyway. And I'm kind of okay with that.
So
I
one
mean,
of the things that I
it'd be
found,
pretty funny.
So one of the things that I've looked at a lot in the past is getting the kind of archives of Ducky script and
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty solid language given how simple it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you guys does your cable actually support that on chip, or is that something you convert ahead of time?
It's all on chip. So it's got a little web server in there. And in that web server, I mean, I think technically it's JavaScript, so yeah, maybe your client side doing that, but yeah, it's on the fly. So you type your Ducky script up in there and you hit save or run, and it gets converted on the fly and kicked through.
That sounds very similar to a project that I worked on a couple of years ago.
Nice.
For
Nice.
doing that JS payload conversion for Ducky script.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like black box functionality, nothing new happening here. Maybe besides that self-destruct thing.
Yeah.
It's really about it going inside of a small space, and further being like developed in my kitchen and assembled in my kitchen from a capability standpoint, which I think is a valuable part of the narrative, because a lot of people are like, man, that stuff is nation state. And, not only did I do it in my kitchen with really cheap, relatively cheap consumer gear, it's also, okay, well, also mass produce them. So there's many of them. And now you can stop saying it's only the NSA who could ever do something like that. It'll be great.
And I think, one of the things that happened a while ago was that people started to get scared of flash drives, right?
Yeah.
Which is reasonable, but people really don't have that same fear for, USB cables or vape pins or anything like that.
Yes.
Yet.
And honestly, like, I hate the kind of like incremental cat and mouse there. Like, sure, let's be more aware of cables as another vector, but like, maybe we could stop thinking that we're going to solve this by just don't plug X in as the solution. And actually, it's been an issue for over a decade. So maybe we could try something else. And that's kind of another thing I'm hoping for here. It's like, hey, it's also why I've been kind of slow rolling this out publicly. It's like, okay, in 2017, I'm like, look, Ducky into cable. And then, 2 years later, it's like, cool, a wireless version. And only, dropped a bunch of the prototypes at Defcon. And I'm like, guess what? It's going to be mass produced. And, give me a few months. So it's, slow rolling enough that people who do have the ability to affect change in a wide way can see that coming. And, this is like Ducky stuff, HID attacks is, while still viable and in many ways a really reliable pathway, and much like phishing, isn't too technically interesting. So a lot of this is kind of a hello world of hardware. And yeah, I'm absolutely going to keep chasing the hardware pathway. There is so much more evil shit that can be done.
Oh yeah,
with implants, right? So
one of the things
that's going to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I think was really cool is I was playing around with a Pwn Pi recently.
Yeah.
A Raspberry Pi, and I got it set up so that you have an HID USB device that mounts, renders an LNK file which exfiltrates SMB hashes to the Pi.
Yep.
Pi cracks them, types in the password.
Right.
And that was like using multiple HID devices together. You have the keyboard, you have the mass storage device, and you have the USB to Ethernet.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool to see how those interact.
I mean, it's fucking awesome. As another example, so as I mentioned, I was there with Joe Fitz, and his fucking classes are great. You should check them out, especially if you want to kind of get an intro to hardware hacking in general. But we also kind of condensed portions of that 4-day course down into, I guess, what was effectively like a 20-minute loop we ran at Blackhat and something called Arsenal. I didn't know what Arsenal was until we ran it, but it was basically like you get a booth in like the public area and people just rush up and watch your demo and kind of participate. But basically what we did is, again, 20-minute demo. What are you going to do? Hardware hacking. But it's still valuable here. Like we took an AT-Tiny and he used something called the Z-tape. Z-tape conducts only in the Z-axis. So through the very thin direction of the tape, not the length or width of the tape. That's done effectively by having a whole bunch of basically copper powder granules embedded in the tape, but spaced out enough that they don't touch each other. So cool stuff. The point here was, we had an AT-Tiny and a really thin board, and you put the Z-tape down, you put the board on top of that, and the spacing of the holes of this board would align perfectly with the UART header on a small, what was it? It was like a network storage device or something, an older one, because older's better in terms of education and, ease of brochure. But first step he shows you is that you connect up to this UART header manually with, serial, like a serial USB adapter or whatever, and you manually interface with it and get a root shell. It's like, cool, let's automate that. So then you take the sequence of commands, and you shove that into the AT-Tiny. Instead of ducky script here, same kind of approach. We're just a series of serial commands going out. Yes, clip that on, it powers up, it replays all the serial commands, very similar to a ducky, and boom, you got root shells. So that was, another approach that there's just so much. There's so much of that type of really basic shit. Like, the dream of the 90s security scene is still alive in the hardware in many ways. Like, some of this stuff is just really basic, low-hanging fruit, and it just keeps going.
It's a lot of the same, not all the same vulnerabilities, but largely a lot of them are the older style vulnerabilities. I mean, like you just mentioned, the I think UART commands and stuff like that. That's
man.
It's just AT commands. That's old school modem talk. So
well, I mean, the NTLM thing, those are super leaky and they have been for 20 plus years.
What are?
With the UART stuff as well, like breaking bootloaders, like just straight up sending interrupts like before, like pre-boot, and editing kernel parameters like to drop the single user mode, and then being like, lol, like there's no grub security, no secure boot on a lot of like on routers and stuff. Like that's a dream.
Yep. And for anyone listening who doesn't really know what that means, like I'm sure you're familiar with SSH, right? Remote over, network interface into another machine. Telnet's like a unencrypted version of that, and it's very similar to, UART in this sense. Now, the security protection that is intended is that someone's not going to be able to physically touch a few copper pads built into a circuit board. Unfortunately, that's becoming a lot easier to do in many ways for a variety of reasons. Also, there's a lot of hardware that is being basically made closer and closer, if not directly connected to the internet. Shit that was never supposed to, like, its protection was the steel box around it, right? And that's how a lot of these platforms and protocols were made decades ago. And now, we're shoving more and more of it on the internet, or making things much more accessible, like multi-tenant VM environments and stuff like that. It's everywhere, and that's creating some very interesting, risky scenarios where we're all sharing the same hardware, and sometimes things just are imperfect in terms of isolation, and maybe you could go down to the hardware and hop around and come back up into somebody else's, and things like that are happening. So it just keeps going and going. We also have a lot of really cool shit, like dirt cheap microcontrollers, like the AT Tiny as a basic learning one, or wireless ones, or FPGAs that are basically 1 by 1 millimeter that allow you to turn it into whatever you want for whatever malicious thing you want. In my experience, chips that have things built into it, like, oh, you need a specific chip that does USB to have USB. It's like, well, yes, but USB is just signals. It's, high, low happening, voltage or no voltage happening in a line. And what if I want to break the spec? Generally things etched into silicon are according to spec. Why would you make so many of them otherwise? But
I mean,
if you're doing it in software, yeah, exactly.
The real question is, how long until we see the OMG cable with an FPGA doing like PCI?
Well, that's an extremely good question. Especially after I was hanging out, so part of these classes, I was hanging out with Chris Gamble. He's not really in InfoSec, but he's more engineering, KiCad dude. Peter Eston, he's the guy who made Blackmagic Probe, the Icebreaker, things like that. So Peter, for instance, I got to throw a lot of my suspicions about what an FPGA could eventually do in malicious ways. But the learning curve has been always extremely frightening to me, so I've never really figured out how to approach it. But he's given me some really good insights, and the FPGA pathway is really attractive, more so than it was 2 weeks ago. So who knows what may happen.
I think one other thing to add that's fairly obvious, but I'll say it anyways. The hardware hacking idea of it, doing anything with hardware hacking, generally speaking, it's not as remotely risky as doing stuff like hacking boxes on the internet or doing botnets, anything like that. If you're hacking hardware, it's just as fun and it's just as interesting, but way less risk.
Yeah, at least in the learning stages, there are hardware hacks you can definitely do remotely. Like that multi-tenant scenario I was talking about. But yeah, learning a lot of the fundamentals, it's pretty clean and contained.
Yeah.
I was streaming that router thing the other day. I'm probably nobody saw it. Decoded was probably the only one. But I'm sitting there on my desk, on my coffee table, with a camera looking down, soldering some stuff, and playing around with a bus part and whatever. And someone asked me how do you stream and not self-dox? I'm like, what am I self-doxing? I'm not committing a crime. I'm playing with a router. It's on
exactly right.
Contained to my fucking coffee table. There's no crimes here. I own this shit.
And half that shit, it's got these probe points on the board so that the manufacturer can hook up to it and interface with it over UART. It's literally in there for that exact reason. They're just not expecting people to know that or have the just general awareness and incentive to hook up to it. Eventually, after the first revision, you're going to see it on most of them, but as the board gets revised and they're no longer debugging shit or having to program it over that, they'll start to lock those things down. Maybe remove the pads. Yeah, exactly. They'll do minor things, but there's always a way back in, and it's interesting how many will not just. There are ways on chips to disable via the config, hey, we're going to take down UART now. We programmed it, close up UART, and various security modes, right? And people just don't set it. It's not been a thing, and it's such a simple thing that they could certainly start doing if more people demonstrated these risks.
There's the JTAG cell pin. If you pull it lower, pull it higher, you turn it, you enable or disable JTAG. It's all right, well, let's probe the bitch out and we ground it. Like,
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of these things are, I mean, we're talking about routers, and honestly, yeah, you can build your lab by just walking into Goodwill and grabbing a few random electronic components and just playing around, right? But
right.
a lot of the exact same attack pathways apply to really expensive things that control really expensive hardware and infrastructure around us. And a lot of those also have an immediate threat to human life or just destruction of a lot of things if people get into them. And a lot of times they're not physically secured in ways that would stop you from physically interfacing with
Yeah.
this same type of technique. So,
medical specifically, I think, is one of those areas that is still
oh yeah,
very much
medical
what
for
you just
sure.
described.
A lot of the things that control very large infrastructure, like say waterways,
Yeah.
things that control machines that are very large. Yeah, it's kind of frightening how much of that just doesn't really get locked down, even physically. Like it's just there's physical access. I can walk up and go touch that thing that would fucking kill a bunch of people. Why is that out here? But please put it away.
Yeah. Please put the screws back in that. Sir, I'm in.
Hell, sometimes
great,
you
man.
don't even have to take the screws out because there's like a port on the front that's meant for somebody to plug their diagnostic tool into. And whoa, right next to that is also a UART header. What?
You know what's really
things like
fun?
that.
Like, there's I was looking at something recently that has a USB A male connector, and if you plug it into a USB port, it'll fry it. But the pinout is literally grounds TX RX VCC. So
Nice.
Oh,
it's just
speaking of
4
that,
pins.
there was a thing I saw recently that, I mean, I guess you're not supposed to cheat and do it this way, but there was a tool that would actually tell you which pad you were connected to based on the input. You know what I'm talking about?
Jogrand's JTagulator.
JTagulator, yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
oh,
That's a
okay.
fun one. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
well,
I mean, there's ways of just probing stuff, and I won't step through that. But yeah, it's cool. It's you just hook a bunch of probes up to random things you see on the board, and it just works through some logic to try and identify each of the ports and help speed up identifying which open pads may be a JTAG port.
Right. So
that's very handy.
You did Blackhat this year. I'm not gonna ask if you're doing it next
that
year.
Hurt me.
But would you consider doing more training in the future, just in general?
I mean, yeah, I like doing training now. It's worth reiterating that this was Joe's training, and I was just kind of assisting. But it is very rewarding. Either getting, typically a lot of people will be, maybe heavily introverted, and you can kind of pull them out of that and get them really going on something passionate, or where they light up. Or a lot of the class, they'll go through this like, fuck, everything's horrible, this is frustrating, and then all of a sudden you get that like dopamine hit because like there's this connection that happens. You're like, holy shit. A bunch of the students, like these were 8-hour days. I was fucking exhausted because we were also building like everything the day before for the class, like class content, stuff like that. But the students were like just physically like splayed out in like couches and stuff, just like having these ideas go through their head while they're trying to solve these puzzles. Because this was more than just physically, or this was more than just UART type stuff. We're also dealing with like physical layout type stuff, or we're trying to figure out how to deal with the physical layout restrictions and piping that to a mill so that we can create physical pathways and traces on the board that allow us to extend certain tools, right? So we're manufacturing PCBs in class on the fly, and you kind of have all these different layers in your head, from physical layout to schematic to the interface of what you're trying to hook to and the weaknesses of it. And there's so many layers, and it all domino effects together, and you got all these crazy restrictions, and it's a lot of fun, and it gets complicated, but then you have these breakthroughs, and it's like, holy shit. And it's really cool seeing that on various people's faces.
That's awesome. That's got to probably be absolutely the most rewarding part about it is seeing it when it finally clicks with somebody. that's
Oh, yeah,
having an
definitely.
especially hard time. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Just
Awesome.
leading them through it.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by slaughtering, like generally.
Yeah.
Once you do it, it's not that hard. I mean, I've seen someone do it with a potentially stolen spoon.
Yeah, I don't know who did that.
No, I don't know who did that. Like, some people got a little bit outraged about that video.
Oh, the
That's
outrage.
great. It's not my fault they thought it was another thing. I mean,
it
that's
reminds
their own dirty mind.
Yeah,
Reminds me of that
exactly.
Twitter conversation where someone's like, "Well, stop looking like criminals."
It's along the same lines. Oh man, though, pushing those buttons.
Some people
you
just
gotta
don't
do
like
it.
you to have fun.
Exactly.
I mean,
Gotta have
that's
fun.
their problem.
Right.
But that makes me have more fun when they feel like that. So, it works.
What a great cycle.
You need to be, the. You know what? I'm going to rewind a second before I even say that. Vegas, where the fuck were all the grasshoppers we promised? That was bullshit. There were none.
I saw
I
4,
know.
and one of them was
So-
0.
Yeah, exactly, right? That was bullshit. So what I was about to say is you need to be the plague or, sign of the apocalypse that you want to see in the world. You need to become it.
Oh yeah.
Vegas clearly didn't deliver.
I like.
Yeah.
I like that.
You need to be. Yeah, you need to be the grasshopper. Is that like some Mr. Miyagi shit or?
I mean, you could be one or you could be like, millions.
Yeah, you got to be swarms of things. That's way better.
All right, swarm. You got to be the Zerg. Let's go. Zerg Rush. Zerg Rush all the hacks.
Yes. I have I'll drop this here actually. I was talking with Decoded, but that Demon Seed kit, I think I have a really, really, really simple modification that would get a wireless trigger on there with a very basic mod. And I mean, the antenna would effectively be, short, kind of a strip of wire, right? Long pointy thing, like a sword or maybe a samurai sword. It's interesting that the history of samurais are, I mean, they typically would kill ninjas, so it's kind of interesting.
Oh.
But
Interesting.
Oh,
so yeah, I think we need to give a samurai sword over to Demon Seed and see what happens.
Love it.
Yeah.
Somebody's birthday was a few days ago, so that's interesting too. But
Well, I hope it was
weird coincidences.
I hope it was extremely enjoyable. I mean, I know on my birthday, I usually just get on the internet, look at the news, and check Twitter, and have a great birthday. So I'm assuming that's what happened as well, right?
Sell some used cars. Who knows?
Yeah, sell some used cars.
Oh, good times.
Cool.
Yes.
So to wrap it up.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's,
No, this was a good thing.
I'm not sure how long we've been talking for. But we've been talking for a while.
No idea.
Does anyone want to just quickly list the party they had the most fun at? Let's go with that. Just for next.
The 801. 801 was good.
801.
Really?
801 was good. I think Paranoids wins for me.
Nice. That was a good party.
I was definitely, when I read Mansion, and that was, I don't know what I expected, but that was a mansion for sure. Boy,
Mechanical bull there and everything, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
I gotta say the mechanical bull was pale in comparison to the Battle Royale Pac-Man.
Was this all at Paranoids?
Yeah, this is all Paranoid.
Oh, wow. Cool.
There was a good dual core performance there too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They also had these noise-making light-up guns that definitely enjoyed the rest of my trip to Vegas. I got a lot of use out of those.
Yeah. I managed to bring my hat home without having to take it out of my bag, but it is larger than a cell phone. So.
I think one of my favorite tweets that I saw about Defcon parties, because Defcon parties is a thing. For anybody who doesn't know, you can follow Defcon parties on Twitter. They have a calendar that tells you when all the sort of more public parties are. But there's always room parties. There's always the quieter parties. There's parties you need an invite to. But there was a couple of people who went out of their way to forge some wristbands to a particular party that was a fake party. So they spent a whole bunch of time making wristbands to get into something that didn't exist. Well,
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun at a lot of parties this year.
Yeah,
So much I won't name, but yeah, it was
great.
really fun. It was great, like going there and knowing so many people this year as opposed
that was my thing.
years before. So met a lot of more great people, and just every year that I go, I always walk away with great ideas from talking with people. That's really my favorite part. It's just the stuff you learn talking with people.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was my first Defcon, but I knew 2 or 3 different groups of people, and meeting them face to face for first time was great. It was awesome.
Agreed.
Hell yeah. Anybody else planning on going to any other conferences coming up?
I wish I could go to Derby, but it's not. I don't think it's in the cards for me.
Yeah, I think
It's gonna
my
be a little
work.
while before I think about it.
Yeah, I think my work basically brings everyone to Derby, so we'll see what happens there.
Nice. Right on.
Nice. Yeah.
Alrighty, any last words?
I know you have some.
I'll
Get a lawyer.
I'll just do my shut the fuck up and get the lawyer. Get a lawyer.
Lawyer.
Be the apocalypse you want to see in the world, and trust your criminal instincts.
Yes. Like that.
Hack the planet.
Defcon's canceled.
Right on. Alright, I think we got everybody. It was a good episode. We will see you all next week. Not
That was
sure.
my sorry.
Well, it's unforgivable. Anyways, yeah, we'll
Would've
see you
been a
next
good way
week.
to end the show. Just let it loop out.
Yeah. All right.
Feedback until the next episode.
We'll see you at the next episode. Peace, everybody.
It's just a stain, dope is booming, cause I'm selling keys. Call my niggas crazy, how we doing, selling overseas. Key is 12,000, got 5 in my house tree. So they equal 60 G's, stored up in my attic. That is just a